Hello and welcome to All the Way Down, a YouTube channel all about the Scottish rock band Biffy Clyro.
All the way down.
So we're on to the next part of the music videos for the band. I'm going to be focusing on the, as I say this, the last three albums. Balance Not Symmetry, which was the soundtrack to the film, A Celebration of Endings, and The Myth of the Happily Ever After. So let's get into it. So, as we know, Balance Not Symmetry was a soundtrack album for the film. They worked with director Jamie Adams. And in terms of the timeline, this comes 3 years after Ellipsis. It was released in May 2019, and it got to number 6 in the UK album download charts, which I think is very successful for essentially a soundtrack to a film, quite a low budget independent film, so I think that's a big success. So the album was released alongside the film. If you don't know much about it, I suggest giving it a watch to just to get a kind of vibe for the music and the kind of themes around the film, which is grief and kind of artistic creation, things like that. Really good film, I thought. From what I've read about the album, it was kind of created by the band looking at Foley's, as in little clips of the film that they come up with, parts of the script, and making music off the back of that, and then the film would be influenced by the music that was made, so a real collaboration there. In terms of a music video, it was only one created for this album cycle, which was the title track, Balance Not Symmetry. There was a couple of other songs on there I deemed really strong, hopefully songs that they will play live in the future. Songs like Sunrise, All Singing, All Dancing. There's a couple more on there that I liked, but I think this gives it's a pretty good advert, I think, for the album, for the song. And let me tell you, I think it's up there in terms of strength of a song for being on, you know, an actual proper Biffy Clyro release, something like Ellipsis. This was 3 years after Ellipsis, but if you take away Walls of Winter, On a Bang, I think it's got just as much right to be on an album like that. I think it's similar to Walls of Winter. The song is really good, it's full of character, and the video is essentially a performance video, but with scenes from the film intercut in between it. I think it lies and leans really heavily on the clips that you see. I think it's more of an advert for the film rather than the music, and I think that's intentional. Cy and Ben are wearing hoodies, but James isn't. Not quite sure why. Maybe it would look better if they were all wearing the same thing. But let's face it, it's in the last few years, and I think we have to be quite grateful that they're wearing anything at this point, since they're so used to, you know, being topless. A very plush music video, I think. A really good performance of the song. They're very much backlit with lots of different colours to just give the song a bit of life, give the video a bit of energy. But like I say, it's mostly heavily leans on clips that you see of the film. And I think if you were to watch this for the first time, I think it may you be more interested in the film rather than the song. But I think the song is really strong and a really good choice to advertise the film and the album. So now we move on to Instant History, the first song that we heard from A Celebration of Endings. Very interesting release date on this. The video was published on the 20th of February 2020. We all know that a couple of days later, maybe a couple of weeks later, COVID in the UK hit and essentially everything got shut down, including the promotion and the release and the tour of this album cycle. So this is the first thing we saw. I think we were kind of gearing up into this new album cycle and the new tour and the new sort of look of the band in A Celebration of Endings, but obviously after this it kind of all stopped for a while. Everything was put on hold, quite rightly, before it built back up again. I think this is a very interesting music video. It was directed by Sophia and Robert. My guess from my research is that they are French, and in researching their work, it's more art installations and theatre pieces that they do. And this video feels like more of an art installation, some kind of performance art in there. It may be that one of the band, I'm going to guess Cy, likes this kind of thing and wanted this look for the band and this idea to go with this song. Very quick shots, very sparse landscapes, a bit like Storm Thorgerson, who the band have worked with before. Very theatrical costumes. So yeah, it looks a bit more like a theatre production, like a bit of an art installation come to life, like a short film that they've put together with lots of different odd costumes and looks, all put together to make this music video. There's a mix of colour with black and white, which is a nice simple effect you can use to give a bit of variety. Lots of different shots, so you're not sort of bored when you're watching it. It's all one after the other, bang, 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 of different shots from different angles, and mostly Psy singing. Ben and James appear, but only in the choruses when they're singing This Is the Sound That We Make. In terms of the song, not the strongest. It's not my favourite. It's not a song that I would choose to go to. Maybe I would skip it when listening to the album. But Biffy do this quite a lot. They'll release something early on which doesn't give you the full rundown, the full vibe of the album. Sentimental, they did that. Stinging Bell, and they've done it with Instant History. It's a little taste, but there was quite a big wait to hear the next thing because of COVID. So the second video we saw for this album, Celebration of Endings, was tiny indoor fireworks. And as I said before, COVID stopped everything, and Biffy reacted very well, I thought, in lockdown, with a lot of the tutorials that the band did, a lot of the live streams, the Facebook live streams that Psy did. They obviously did the Glasgow Barrowlands live stream. They put that together in lockdown. And this was another thing to add to that pile. Tiny indoor fireworks. Obviously, it looks like it's been created from home. All three band members have strapped cameras to their instruments and been filmed by their partners, their respective partners in their own house. And it's very punchy. It's very punchy, very quick. Parts of it are animated, and it really suits the fun nature of the song. And going back to this, I really liked it. They've obviously made the most of the animation, of course, because it's limited resources when you're just filming from your own house. So, it's a performance video, but they've put the little twist on it. They've spent a bit more money on the animation side of it rather than the actual filming. And early on, when you see the kind of little drawings, little doodles of animation, it really reminded me of the Questions and Answers music video, where, on a maybe smaller scale, smaller budget there, but it really looks similar, when the hand is hanging down from the bunk bed and a spider hangs down the arm. Very similar to that early on, but it turns into this big kind of take on me. I think sort of blues and whites and blacks in there of the band performing, and it really looks like them. I thought it was very impressive watching this back. I think this is the first time they worked with director Oscar Sansom, and he's part of the production company Forest in Black, and I think they worked with the band for the Barrowlands live stream, and they will go on to work with the band later on in this video. It's shot by partners of the band. It says that on the YouTube description. The production company Forest of Black have worked with lots of different artists, very big ones. Liam Gallagher, Royal Blood, I think Sam Smith as well, and Biffy Clyro. And it's a really good advert for the production company, because the videos that they create with Biffy Clyro in the next couple of videos and the Barrowlands live stream are really good quality, really inventive, really creative, and really different. And I think that's what they kind of made the name on. So the third and final music video for Celebration of Endings comes in the form of Space. Very tender, very lovelorn song written by Psy, and I really like it. And this video really does it justice. I think it's a really quality, lush video, this one. It was directed by Joe Connor. He's worked with Harry Styles, Placebo, Coldplay, big mainstream acts. It looks so classy, so classic. As I say, very lush. It starts off a classic car in the rain. Maybe it's a set. It's more likely a set rather than outdoors, with just a lamp over the top of them. So very minimal, very classy. Maybe it looks like an old black and white film. And the narrative is simple. It looks like a couple who are at the wit's end. Maybe they've had an argument. They feel rather disconnected. And as the song goes on, they start dancing with each other in the rain. Really great use of light. And as Psy falls over, he falls into a puddle, and then he goes underwater, and that's where they continue. And that's where the video looks, I think, probably the most spectacular and the most cinematic, is when the light is shining down from above through the water and they're both together. I think it looks great. It looks like a proper cinematic movie, and I think the boy should be really proud of this one. Then towards the end of the music video, we realised that this is kind of all imagined inside his head, because he looks over and the girl is in the driver's seat and they're still not talking to each other. Bit of a sort of a cheat ending, really. You know, when you're in primary school and you write that short story and you say at the end it was all a dream and he woke up in his bed. It's a bit like that, as in, I've just imagined this. But take nothing away from it, because it's still a really lush, really cinematic, a glorious music video, and it's got to be up there with one of my favourites, I think. So we come on to, as I say this, the latest album, The Myth of the Happily Ever After. A little bit different in the promotion of this. You know, in the last couple of videos we've seen 2, 3, 4 music videos of separate singles, separate songs, with a kind of a span of 12 to 18 months to kind of really advertise the album. This one, for this album so far, we may see more, but it's unlikely considering the album's been and gone. We've got 2 songs but put together in one music video. I think it works really well. You might not agree with this, but let's get into this for the songs A Hunger in Your Haunt and Unknown Male 1. So with this double music video, we're working again with Oscar Sansom from Forest of Black. So 2 videos put together. Let's start with A Hunger in Your Haunt, a pure performance video, but as the song continues, mainly towards the end, we do see little snippets of what you see in the later video. So it comes up with kind of a beach with a box, a prism, band members walking in different directions, but mostly it is a performance video, and you can tell that they've shot this twice. Once basically in the same place, but with 2 different things going on. A straight music video in kind of abandoned brick wall, sort of bare, sparse space, with a very minimal backdrop, and everything's white. All the equipment is white, including the microphone stands, which look amazing. And they've obviously shot it again, and they've obviously gone mental with the paint, throwing it everywhere, all over themselves, all over the backdrop, all over the drums. And it's a really clever, subtle effect that they use, where they've obviously filmed the shots exactly the same. So when they cut in between them, it looks like the same shot with different things happening. And I think it's a really cool effect. Nothing much more to say about this, but the mix of the 2 performances is really good. It's a very strong song. I think these 2, along with Errors in the History of God, possibly my favourite 3 from the album. I'd love to see a video for Errors in the History of God, but we've just got these 2. Part of me did feel a little bit sad about the equipment, you know, fantastic Fender guitars and Pearl drum kits and them lovely microphone stands just getting absolutely battered by the paint. Let's hope it's water-based so they can actually wash it off and use them again. I know in 2002, 2003 they wouldn't even think about wrecking something because they're a bit short on money, but now, you know, for artistic effect they get to do something like this, and let's face it, it looks great. So the final video for this cycle was the second part of this double video, Unknown Male 1. It starts off with a bit of static noise, and then you've got Simon saying what appear to be random numbers, and it sounds really good and really effective, but I'm not sure where it's coming from. I don't know the meaning behind it. It's certainly not in the album before or after Hunger in Your Haunt, or before Unknown Male. Maybe in the future we'll get to know what these numbers mean, but for now it's a kind of a link between the 2 videos. It starts off with Si looking up and the ground beneath him, and then you realise that once he's done his first couple of lines that he's actually hovering a couple of centimetres from the ground and he's moving, and it looks oddly really, really cool. He's in that kind of floral, cloudy, pleated coat, which I'm sure he wore for a festival, which I was really jealous of at the time. But that's a really great way to start a song and a video, because it just looks really odd, and I'm still trying to work out how that's done, because the effect is really good. In my opinion, there are loads of things about this video that I absolutely love, but the one thing that I cannot bear, and you may agree with this, is when band members play their instruments when they're clearly not plugged in. You know, Ben playing his drums, that's fine because he's actually playing them. But James and Si playing the bass and guitar outside when clearly they're not plugged in, I think it sort of slightly takes the edge off the video and ruins it slightly. There's the parts where the Si is singing and there's that kind of landscape with the tractor tyres. I think is really effective to me because you kind of look at it, but then you pick out people in the background who are wandering around, and it's slightly unsettling. And that's a really great way of kind of building up that kind of unsettling nature of this video. Because later on, when they're in the forest and you've got people in white walking towards the band, and you've got Si, dressed in white with a blindfold on, kind of feeling his way around, and then the band looking at a car on fire, and then the band performing in front of this circle of people dressed in white like a bit of a cult. The kind of unsettling nature of the video really builds up, and when you've got the band playing the guitars when it's not plugged in, it kind of brings it back down to think this is a little bit naff. But the rest of it is really strong, and this, along with Space, has got to be in my favourites of all time in terms of Biffy music videos. I said this before when I covered the videos from A Vertigo of Bliss, where you've got the band playing in this kind of green forester area, dressed in white. I thought that was a nod to the Questions and Answers music video, where they were dressed in white playing their instruments in a park. They've obviously probably forgot about that because that was, nearly 20 years ago now. But I thought it was good to see those comparisons and those parallels between the two of kind of where they're up to in terms of quality of music video, because this one is up there. I absolutely love this video. There's loads going on that you kind of think that's kind of odd. The band members sort of walking away and running away from the camera. The little scenes with the group of young people next to the house and kind of the camera pans away. There's loads going on. I really like the collaboration they've started here with Forest of Black. These couple of music videos along with the Barrowlands live stream they did. Everything's just become more ambitious and more cinematic. And I think my guess is that Si is kind of leading that kind of the image of the band and the things that they're putting out. I really hope this collaboration continues because we're seeing such great stuff, visually stunning stuff, which I hope leads into the next video, and I think it's just going to get bigger and better. I think my favourite part of this video is where they're playing in the forest and they're blindfolded, but the people around them are dressed in white and looking at them. I think as an image it's really striking, but when I looked at it I thought, is this a bit of a metaphor of what they've gone through with COVID, and the kind of live streams they did and the ballroom show that they put out? Are they kind of playing to no one? They can't see their audience. I'd be quite surprised if it was. I think that's a bit of a shot in the dark from me, but I would absolutely love it if that was the case, because it's a really, really strong metaphor to use in a music video. So 5 music videos in total that I've talked about there, and kind of accidentally I've kind of picked my top 3 in the last 3 that we've talked about. For number 3 I'm going to go with Tiny Indoor Fireworks. I really like the performance nature of it mixed with the animation. I really liked what they've done with the resources that they had, in that they were working from home essentially, but they spruced it up with the really, really great animation. Number 2 I'm going to go with Spaced. Anything underwater that you do in a music video works for me. The choreographed dance was really nice, the minimal set, and obviously the how it looks underwater with the light coming through the water looked really great. So that's got to be my number 2. For number 1 I'm going to be specific in this, not A Hunger in Your Haunt. I'm going to lean a bit more on the other one. So for my number 1 I'm going to go with Unknown Male. So much going on, so many great looks. The playing in the forest, Si hovering from the ground wearing that lovely coat. Loads of things going on to create a really wonderful music video, and And as this collaboration have gone on with Forest of Black, we're seeing a lot more ambition, a lot more cinematic work from the band, and I really hope that continues. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.